Are you totally overwhelmed by the thought of setting boundaries, not even sure of where to begin? If so, good, because you came to the right video. Today, I'm gonna take you through a step-by-step process that will teach you how to set and maintain boundaries effectively. There's an exercise that we're gonna be going through, so be sure to watch the entirety of the video or else you might miss out on something quite important. By the way, if you don't know me, my name is Trevor Brown. I'm a licensed therapist. I work with expats and global nomads to maximize their emotional well-being and foster deeper connections. If you're interested in that, if that sounds like you, go below. You can schedule the free consultation. No commitment necessary. So today I'm gonna guide you through a boundary setting exercise that has 4 steps to it. And I'm gonna be doing them alongside you. Go ahead and pull out a pen, a pencil, and a piece of paper. I'm gonna be using this remarkable tablet, which I absolutely love, and maybe one day they will sponsor this episode, but today they are definitely not doing that. While you're getting yourself sorted, while you're finding your pen and your paper, I want to quickly answer a question that might be on your mind, which is, why do I feel so overwhelmed and intimidated at the thought of setting boundaries in the first place? Well, if you're asking yourself that, first, you're not the only one. In my work, I see 2 common characteristics that boundary-shy people have. The first is that they are afraid of hurting other people's feelings, and the second is that they think that setting boundaries is selfish, and furthermore, they think that any sign of selfishness, any hint of selfishness is bad and wrong. I just want you to know that setting boundaries does not hurt other people's feelings if it's done skillfully. And number 2, that if you never allow yourself to feel even a smidge of selfishness, you'll very likely end up burnt out, fatigued, exhausted, overwhelmed, and resentful. Okay, paper and pen ready? Let's rumble. The first thing to do is to make a list of all the things in your life that you feel overwhelm you. All the things in your life that stress you out, all the things that worry you, all the things that keep you up at night, all the things that come into your mind at random times of the day and cause you stress and anxiety. Just write those down. You have full permission to be as honest with yourself as possible here. I mean, nobody else is gonna see this list, but really try to take this slowly. So in a few moments here, I'll encourage you to pause the video and take a few minutes to write this down. These items that you write down, they might be related to your job, to your various roles and responsibilities, to the expectations that other people have of you, the demands that other people make of you. They might be related just to yourself, kind of, like the routines that you have or that you don't have. Maybe a lack of sleep, maybe too many competing interests. They might have to do with your relationships with other people. The idea here is to just allow yourself to get everything that's usually twirling and swirling around up here, out of here, and through your hand and through your pen, assuming you're using those things, onto the paper in front of you or the screen. I would say try to shoot for anywhere from 4 to 7 items. Think of it as an experiment. If at the end of this experiment you hated it and it did not resonate with you, no problem, forget about it. But give it a shot, because there might be something here. So now I'd encourage you to go ahead and pause the video, give yourself a minute or 2, write down a list, like I said, 4 to 7 items, something like that. And I'll be doing the same. Okay, got it? I did it too. See? So next thing we're gonna do is step number 2. And with step number 2, what I want you to do is to look at your list, look at all the items that you have listed there. And so now we're gonna rank them, and we're gonna rank them in descending order from hardest to least hard. What do I mean by hardest? Well, I mean, what is the item on your list that is most overwhelming and where the thought of setting a boundary, any boundary in that particular area of your life is like totally intimidating and terrifying? Rank that number 1 as the hardest item, the hardest place to set a boundary, okay? And then find the item, the second hardest item on your list, rank that number 2, so on and so forth until every single item on your list has a number next to it. I'm gonna go ahead and do it now, so feel free to pause the video and I will see you for step 3. Okay, so at this point, every item should have a number next to it. like this, boom, boom, and hopefully you're seeing a close-up of that right now. So now we're going into step 3. This is the real juice of the whole thing. And what we're gonna do, and this may seem a little bit counterintuitive, but what we're gonna do is we're gonna choose the item that is least intimidating. We're gonna choose the item that seems easiest. In other words, we're gonna choose the item with the highest number next to it. So go on here, find the item you have that has the highest number and make a little star by it. That's what I'm doing. And that's what we're gonna start with. What we're gonna do here in this step is we're gonna find a boundary that we can experiment with that is related to this particular item. We wanna find the lowest hanging fruit possible, because what's most important at the end of this exercise is that you trust yourself, you trust your ability to set boundaries. That's really what we're after here. Okay, and now here's a question. A very important question. If there were one thing that I could do differently here that would have the biggest impact on this particular area of my life, what would it be? Now, the other really important piece of that question, it's what could I do differently? What is the thing I could do differently? The emphasis is on the I, the me. What is the thing that I could do differently? We want to think about, where is my power? Where is my influence? Where is my center of control? Where do I have control? So again, pause the video, give yourself 30 seconds, and let's just write down what that would be. Now we're gonna go into the next question. So this is question number 2 of step number 3. And question number 2 is, how likely is it that I actually follow through with this thing that I just wrote above, right? So we're on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being totally not likely, not possible, not gonna happen in this lifetime. 10 being 100%, nothing's gonna get in my way, nothing could stop me from following through on this. Just give yourself a moment and think, what is the likelihood I can actually do this? I can actually set this boundary. All right, now if you gave an answer of 8, the number 8, 9, or 10 to that question, you're good to go. Odds are you'll actually be able to pull this thing off. And if it's anywhere from 6 or below, we definitely need to go back to the drawing board. And so if you scored 6 or below, what you want to do at this point is you want to take that first answer and we want to amend it a little bit. So there's valuable information in that answer that you initially gave, because it's showing you the sort of change that you want to ideally make. What we want is to find a boundary that we can employ consistently. So go back to the drawing board and just play around with, what is the smaller boundary that I could have here? I'll give you a random example. I want a better relationship with my mom. Okay, great. What's the one thing that if I could do differently, it would dramatically change and improve? Let's see. Well, she annoys me, so if I never had to talk to her again, that would be pretty good, but that's too extreme. So maybe if I only spoke with her once a month instead of once a day, that would be really good for my mental health. What's the likelihood I can follow through with that? It's a 1, because that is a dramatic jump from every day to 1 time a month. I'll never be able to pull that off. I'll feel really bad. Mom will freak out. Let's not go there. What's a smaller level iteration of that? Maybe every day when I talk to my mom, I only talk to her for 10 minutes. Or maybe I only talk to her 3 times a week. Or maybe I only talk to her about specific subjects and I put other subjects offline, so that when she brings them up in the phone call, I find a reason why I have to leave. Something like that, you know? So these are all boundaries. They're smaller boundaries that are in the same vein as the big one, but they're not the big one. They're actually maybe achievable, which would be nice. There's one more question for this part. So this is the 3rd question for step number 3, and it's the golden question, and it is this. If anything stops me from following through on this boundary, what do I imagine that thing might be? That thing or those things. So when we can anticipate what it is that could prevent us from following through on it, the various hurdles and obstacles that might come our way, then we'll be less likely to be caught by them unawares. We won't be blindsided by them. So take a minute here. Again, feel free to pause the video. I'll do the same. And just write down, if I was not successful with my boundary setting, why? What stopped me? What were the obstacles that prevented me from following through with it? If you want, you can try to find ways to counteract for each of those obstacles right now, but I don't think you have to go that far necessarily. I think just writing them down, just making yourself aware of them, will make you less prone to sort of falling prey to them. Okay, we're ready for step number 4. This is the final step in the boundary setting process. Just to quickly recap, at this point, you have identified the various areas of your life that could use a boundary. You have found the area of your life where setting a boundary will be easiest. You have found the boundary to set in that area that will be most easy for you to follow through with. Now you're gonna actually set the boundary. At the end of this video, if it's appropriate, my invitation to you is to find a way to actually set this boundary now. And because it's such a low level boundary, because it's quite easy and you've identified the things that might prevent you and you have a good amount of confidence you can actually do it, then there's not a whole lot of reason to not do it, right? And my next challenge is that you hold this boundary for at least 2 weeks. See if you can do it. At the end of the 2 weeks, sit down again and just ask yourself a few questions. Was I able to do it? If not, what got in the way? If so, was it worth it? Did it make me feel better? Did it improve my life? Is this a practice I should continue? Hopefully the answer to all those questions is yes. And then you can level up at that point, right? You can take the next item on your list and go through the same process in steps 2 and 3 and 4 and try to set another boundary that might push you a little bit more. But by this stage, you will have already proven to yourself that you're capable of setting and holding boundaries, that you're worthy of it, that you're allowed to set boundaries, and hopefully it makes setting future boundaries all the more easy for you. Thank you so much for your time. I really hope you found this video useful. I hope you found it helpful. Best of luck on your boundary setting journey. Please feel free to comment below with any questions or any impressions you had about this video, and I will see you in the next video. Cheers.